Hello, and welcome to our video on how to set up a 1967 Apache Buffalo camper. This is for people who are following along on our cross-country blog, um, buffaloroaming.blogspot.com, and for anyone who might happen to own a canvas-sided Apache. First off, getting it level, and then you just put a little level on the side rail there, and then use the trailer jack to get it roughly. You want it pretty close to level. And then the good thing about these campers, they're pretty light. So you can get that wheel dock and very carefully slide it under there as you lift up the tongue. Then we get our chocks to stabilize the wheels, and I just tap those into place with a hammer on each side. And then we get out our shims. I like to use just different thicknesses of squares of plywood for the shims, and that gives us enough variety usually to get it pretty well stabilized. The legs are probably one of my least favorite features of the old Apache. They're very sticky, they're very finicky, um, but they work. So what we do is we get them to the position as close to the ground as we can. Check out the level left to right, and that tells us how many shims to put under what corner. And then so I get them lined up to where I want to be, and I can just lift the end a little bit, and then Ann will slip the shim under there. And I think on this uphill side we could just slip one in pretty easy that fit pretty well. And that level is close enough for a short level like that. That's gonna feel pretty good. So we repeat it on the other side. We get the shims ready to go, figure out how many we need. But on this end, obviously, we don't need to do any lifting because we have the trailer jack. So then we just crank it up a bit and then slide the shims under and then crank it back down. Pretty simple. And then once you do that, um, you have your shims, your legs down, your chocks in, um, your wheel dock under your trailer jack, and everything gets pretty stable. And this is a good shot of how crowded it is inside that door there when we travel. We just really jam it full. Okay, now getting to putting things up. You take that center support and you sort of get it out of the way for now. And we start with the bed end that's over the trailer tongue. As you pull out that bed end, it lifts that support. They're sort of connected, and we get about halfway up, and then we pull the canvas up and over that support, because as we pull out that bed end all the way, that support will go all the way into the upright position and it will help lift that canvas. So right now we're getting it roughly in place, and here we're pulling it out. You can see that support sort of stood up on its own. Then you do the legs, which are sort of a little tricky. You have to squeeze in this sort of pin, slide them down, pull it out, and then there's little holes corresponding to where that little latch goes in, and you get it right above the area of a hole, and then sort of lift the bed into place so it locks in. And here we are, getting the canvas ready. We pull the sides out on this end, and that helps keep it in place as we extend this final support on the bed end. And this is, just a little. It's not hard, but it's just a little laborious. These little brackets on the end hold that bed end support in place, and you put those on. Usually they fall off at some point, but once the canvas is in place, it doesn't really matter that much. And right here, we're just sort of getting everything lined up. So you could see that looks pretty good on the end. Everything's squared away and where it needs to be. So then we go to the other end and we sort of repeat the process. But first, we have to get the canvas over the center support. And this is not, there's nothing graceful about this. You just got to get in there. The canvas is pretty heavy and unwieldy. But basically, you want to get in there, get that center support so it's completely under the canvas and just resting against the other metal support that we just put up. So once that's done, we start to pull the canvas, get it in position. Lift that road tab, always an important step that I often forget. And that tab helps keep the bed ends in place as you drive. And here we're just doing what we did on the other end. We get it about halfway up. This is where having a little step stool is handy, and is usually on a step stool on the other side, so she can reach up and get that canvas in place. And there we go. Bed end is out. legs are sort of locked into place. Canvas is pulled over the support, and then we do that final support at the end. Get those brackets into place, and then pull the canvas down to where it needs to be. And then the final step before we snap things into place is to get that center support up. And this isn't held in by any brackets. It's just held by the pressure of the canvas. And you can see there's those triangle sort of canvas tabs that help you know when you got it in the right spot. And that goes for all the supports. And is zipping up the other side opposite the door, and you keep that unzipped while you're putting it up. Otherwise, you'd be stretching the canvas too much. On the bed ends, we have these bungees, and they have a hook on the end with some grommets, and they pull under and go around that sort of cup on the bottom of the bed end, and that holds the ends in place, ends of the canvas, and then these snaps hold the sides of the canvas in place, and there's a rail on the body of the camper, and those snaps go right in. There's the door, halfway zipped, and that's what it looks like open. As you can see, you have the bed ends all done there. So now we're going to switch gears a bit. Here's the inside pics of the camper before we went on our trip, just to show you what it looks like. There's the table. There's some of the flip-top storage areas. And now we have went from Grand Canyon to Mesa Verde campground to show you the inside. It was much sunnier here in Grand Canyon. It was raining, so it's hard to take time to get some shots. Still a little messy, but you'll get an idea. This is what it looks like when we just sort of live in it. So you have the two bed ends, and that's where the adults slept. There's Anne's nice little clip-on USB-powered fan, which we charged up in the car. Some mattresses on the end, sleeping bags. There is one bed, and there's the other bed for the kids, with some lights hanging from the ceilings. As you can see, the panels are actually mostly zipped up right now, but if they do all unzip, lots of cross breezes. There's a little bed rail that I clip on there to keep kids from rolling out. There's our states map. There's storage underneath the flip top that I built to support that mattress, and we keep storage underneath that table area for the bed. And yeah, so that's really about it. So that's what it looks like to get this thing up, and to put it down, you just sort of do that in reverse order. And there's our 67 Apache Buffalo at Mesa Verde Campground. If you want to see more about it, check out buffaloroaming.blogspot.com. And thanks for watching.